Good to speak to you. I'm coming from a place you love dearly, Ireland. I know
All
you've got a
right.
lot of
Shout
history
out to
here.
Ireland. I got folks in Ireland.
Yeah. A big part of this promotion that I think is kind of getting overlooked is that the name on the canvas won't be all just most valuable promotions, but the Real Fight Inc. as well. Your promotion for your boxing debut. And I suppose before we get into that, I want to ask about one fighter on your promotion because it's not just you. You've got your friend Chris Avila as well. And of course, when the pandemic started, he was not in a great place career wise, and he has worked so hard over these last 3 years. Can you talk to me about the pride you have in Chris Avila and his involvement in getting this massive fight with Jeremy Stevens?
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential, and I think he's got a lot of time, and a lot of big stuff coming ahead of him. And I think he always had. He had a rough road because it's kind of my fault too. I threw him in the deep waters right off the bat because I knew I was training with him, sparring with him from the beginning, and he was already a tough kid with the second I met him. I think he was 18 years old, and he came in, and my brother was starting a camp, and he came in and he came in, and my brother knew his dad, and he brought him in, and he came in and started boxing when Nick started camp, and he was like a young kid, and he was he putting some good work on Nick, and I was like watching from jujitsu class. I was like, what? And I was like, I told my brother, I was like, hey, nice round, like sarcastically, and he looked at me hella mad, like, you're 18 years old, and I was talking to my brother. I was like, I still would have worked him like this, and he's like, Nick was like, fuck you. Yeah, and then he wrote out Nick still was winning, but the kid was doing good for being a kid. And then he came back the next day and Nick didn't show up. And then this kid came up to me and was like, your brother told me to come in and spar you today. And I was like, what? All right. So I jumped out of jujitsu class and I went and got my boxing stuff on. And I hopped in there and I went a bunch of rounds with Chris. Man, he was not playing around. He was a really good boxer. He's already an amateur boxer at the time, and we did a good amount of rounds. And he left, and I was like, one of my boys asked me, yeah, I worked it better than Nick did, that's for sure. And then the next day he popped back in again for somewhere. Like, damn, this is bad. And the next day he came back, and then he was in jiu-jitsu class, and I thought he was just a boxer. And so right off the bat, I saw potential in him, and he immediately became like one of my number one training partners, training with me for every fight. And then when people would come to the gym, he'd work them over. And then so when I got the chance, I was like, hey, my guy's coming. When I fought Connor the second time, I was like, this guy's coming with me. And he had a few knockouts in MMA. I think he had like 5 or 7 fights, and he knocked a bunch of
He
guys out
fought
in a
Arden,
row.
right?
Yeah, and then he came in, and then I feel like there was a lot of pressure on him right off the bat. He's like probably 21 years old, and he went in there. He had a hard fight, and then he had a few hard fights, and then he moved to another show, and he had a hard fight after hard fight, kind of like how my career went. He had a rough road from the start, had tough stuff, and through all that, he just still doing what he's been doing, just like I have. He's still in the gym every day and working. And even if there's a lot of discredit, that's not going to stop him from getting there and get back to work and uh, winning fights and doing good. And he's been doing really good lately. And I don't even think his career has really even started. He's already got 20 some fights, and now he's boxing. I believe the peak ain't even gonna start yet. So it's starting now. A lot of coming his way.
So you talked about that fight with Connor, and obviously you've got a great relationship with him. Kind of a weird one where sometimes you're rivals, sometimes you're friendly, and you've got a great
I ain't got
respect
no
for him.
relationship with him.
What
I
did you
don't
think
know
of
Connor.
what did you think of him saying such nice things about how you were going to beat Jake and calling Jake a donkey?
I don't think that was I don't think that was for me or anything. I think that's just what he thought, and what I think too.
Finally, I wanted to ask about the fight on Saturday night, BMF title, which I know that you probably feel a little bit of a claim to because your fight ended in controversy, right? It wasn't a real, like there wasn't like Masvidal won, but not like well, you know what I'm saying. Do you feel that now Justin Gaethje is a rightful full champion for that belt? And what did you make of the final Saturday?
No, him and Poirier are dorks. They don't fit the description anyway. And Masvidal too. Those guys. I'm just glad that somebody people could the champions are all kind of lame right now. So I mean there's Adesanya and John Jones. Besides that, everybody's kind of there's nobody that entertaining to watch. And then so what happened? I made something to entertain people and I'm not even there. I feel like I'm like those guys get down about, but they just need something to do, something to make some promotion out of, and that's why I had to get out of the organization the whole time anyway, because I was doing doing all the promoting and the bringing the attention and making big happen in the UFC. I was like, well, I might as well be doing this out on my own. I thought about it years ago, but now when you look in the past and what it's done, look at they got a whole belt made up, and these guys and all the guys that are wearing that belt were the guys criticizing it when it started at the time, and now they're just all happy running around. Uh, they're all dorks.
Thank you very much for your time. By the way, who wins, Conor or Chandler?
I'm sorry.
Who wins, Conor or Chandler? Last question from me.
Oh, Chandler's a nice guy, but he's not gonna win.
Thank you.
I don't think they're gonna fight though.
Hey Ned, this
They're
is
gonna fight. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
I don't think those guys are gonna fight.
Why not?
Do you think they're gonna fight?
I
Does
hope
anyone
so.
think they're gonna fight Conor and Chandler? They're not gonna fight. Like Conor fight.
You're part of the Ultimate Fighter. That's how they all set it up.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think they're gonna fight. Yeah, there's no bout agreement, and they were just like the BMF, but then they have none to entertain nobody. They're just like, all right, we gotta bring this up. We gotta put Conor on TV. I think Conor and Gaethje should fight. I think that'll probably be next. But if Gaethje might try to act like he's too cool or something, but just shows how much of a nerd he is. You don't got nobody to fight. Who's he gonna fight? Who's Gaethje gonna fight? There's nobody to fight. That's why I had to step out. There ain't nobody to fight. I like when I fought Conor and I didn't fight for 3 years, it's not because I was sitting there waiting. They were like, he's waiting for Conor. I was waiting for Conor. I was waiting for someone to do something cool. There was nothing cool. Nobody was on the level of someone worth fighting. And then when I finally came back, Masvidal had knocked out Ben Askren with me. I was like, well, that was cool. That was the only thing cool that happened the whole time I was gone. So what happened then? I had to come back, and then I had to make a belt, and I had to fight Masvidal. And then there was nothing cool really was going on since then too. And who did I fight after Masvidal? Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
I fought him, and now he's a champion. And then
No, Pettis.
I fought Pettis,
No,
and then
sorry.
Pettis, Masvidal, Leon, and Pettis had knocked out Thompson. There ain't nothing going on cool. And then Paul came on the scene talking a bunch of shit. I was like, oh, that's something cool to do. Like, why not do the tightest shit if we're gonna do something? All these fighters don't know what's going on because they're not real fighters. They don't know what's tight. They don't know what's good entertainment. What they want to watch. I want to see a good fight. People who want to see fight, not a bunch of dorks fight.